Good morning and welcome to the Walking in the Supernatural podcast. I am Onosiboje. The Spirit of God wants to communicate with our spirits this morning about something very important. As always, it's about the subject of forgiveness. And this is even more important because unforgiveness is one of those things that affects you, spirit, soul, and body. It has an impact on your spirit, affects and torments your mind, and then especially causes sickness, disease, and affliction in your body. Once your spirit is ruffled, once your spirit is in a state of disarray, and it impacts your mind, I dare say it has an effect on your body. And because of its far-reaching effect in the life of a man, God doesn't want it anywhere near us. God doesn't want it anywhere near us. The Bible tells us in the book of Psalms chapter 86 verse 5 that God is good. I often say God is not a good God. He is good. That is who He is. That's His nature. That's His personality. His goodness personified. Then it says, God is ready to forgive. The God's Word translation says, God is forgiving. That's His nature. That's His nature. He's forgiving. He's forgiving. No matter what the offense may be, God is forgiving. But dear brothers and sisters, you know what? When you get born again and receive Jesus into your heart and you receive this new nature, the nature of Christ, the nature of righteousness, you have received that same ability. My pastor would often say, God is gracious and kind. I dare say to us, we ought to be gracious and kind. We ought to be gracious and kind. Because if you read Psalm 86 that I'm talking about, verse 5, it says, You, O Lord, are good and forgiving, full of mercy. To be full of mercy means to be gracious, full of mercy towards everyone who calls out to you. Another translation says he's full of compassion. Another one says he's plenteous in compassion. That means he favors. What is favor? Favor gives you an unfair advantage, whether you qualify for it or not. That is what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is based on the depth of mercy and compassion that is in our hearts. Peter walks up to Jesus one day and says to him, Master, how many times should I forgive someone who offends me? And Jesus says 70 times 7 times. And Luke actually lets us know Jesus was talking about forgiveness required in one day. And because you and I know no one can offend you that much in a day, Jesus was indirectly telling us there is no time, there is no circumstance under which we shouldn't forgive. And do you know Jesus himself was put to the test? Because Peter, who asked him the question in Matthew chapter 18, actually betrayed Jesus. Peter's actions were predicted. Jesus talked about it, but Peter said, No, I can never betray you. But he betrayed Jesus. He was close to Jesus, yet he betrayed Jesus. But time came when Jesus needed to forgive him. Jesus forgave him instantly. And do you know what? Jesus healed so many people, fed thousands of people. But when it came to the time for them to vote for who would be freed, they voted against Jesus. Where were those people? Jesus had every right to be unforgiving. He had every reason, every justification. But you see, his example tells us that there's no justification for unforgiveness. Because even on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I dare say the reason he tells God to forgive is because he already forgave and he knew that there were consequences for people's wrong actions. So he became an intercessor for those that hurt him. Who has hurt you today? What hurt are you carrying in your heart? What offense are you carrying in your heart? Against people, your ex-husband, your ex-wife, your parents, your father and mother, whoever it may be. The Lord is speaking to you this morning. Let it go. Forgiveness is all about letting it go. Do not find yourself holding a grudge against anyone, because it will pay you nothing. Rather, it will put you in a state of disarray. It will put you in a state of depression. It will put you in a state of bitterness, and it will cause you to walk in the wrong paths of life. God's Spirit wants to liberate us from this menace called unforgiveness. Let us yield our hearts to God's Spirit to work on us. I'd like to pray for you this morning. If there's anyone carrying a hurt or a pain or grief as a result of the offense done them, I pray for you this morning, that by the help of the Holy Ghost and the great depth of compassion and mercy that you have in your heart, you let it go. And I speak healing to your minds. I speak healing to your bodies. If there's any affliction that has resulted from this unforgiveness, that you let it go and begin to live a life of joy, peace, gladness, like the Lord wants you to live. Jesus let the offense go. Jesus let it all go. Yes. And today, he gives you the same opportunity to let it go. I'd like you to think on these things. God bless you.